in a few minutes and let the people come in. Let me go pull that email off of Yahoo. Hang on a second. So, and then we'll get reacquainted. We'll get reacquainted online. How's that? in front of everybody. Okay, let me see here. So that would be coming from you. Let's see. Is it under your name or Mother with Wisdom? Oh, here it is. I got it. Let me take a look at it. All right, we got some people coming in now. Let's see. This is my wicked ceremony. Okay.
So if you could just ask the questions or just read it and we can go from there, because my printer wouldn't print up and I'll have to click to another screen.
Okay, yeah, this is what we do. It's all spontaneous, so I like this. I don't know what I'm getting into, but I know I'm in good hands with you. Let me check the...
Yes, you are.
And I want to give people a little background on our connection.
Okay.
All right. So, okay, we got 25 people in the house. Make sure the sound's good. Okay. Hello, Linda Caraway, Edith Ann, Lainey Reed, John Montgomery, Nicole Hart, Kathy Waldowski, Gabriel Roth. Thank you all for coming in. 31 people in the house. We got a really special show for me today with this beautiful divine feminine. So a lot of people know I spent the first couple of years of my awakening walking the streets. And after a couple of years, I got a computer and started to stabilize a little bit. And one of the very first people that caught my attention, I knew nothing about ascension. I knew nothing about nothing. And was a lady by the name of Mother with Wisdom, until Facebook made her go in and change the name. That's what she was known as. This is Valerie Ames, a very good friend of mine. We've connected a couple times on the phone and many times online, and most of the time etherically. We've had some great conversations, and I can't remember them because it's been a long time. But it was always straight from the soul. We both share a wolf energy.
Yeah.
And so it's a very special relationship, and it's a pleasure to have you here, shared space. Thank you for honoring us with your presence today.
Namaste. It's so good to be here. I'm a little nervous, but I'm so glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you're here too, and I hope we can do more collaborations in the future. And as the network expands, that you can actually plug in as a channel in time, because you've got a lot to offer. And the reason I know that is because when I first met you, I was very intrigued, and I went to your websites. You had as memory serves me correct, I think there was more than one, but there was one about an incredible story about your transformation, your acceptance of self, self-love, and it just was a great and beautiful message. And I think you were directing that at the Divine Feminine at the time, early in this, as I was observing in these Lightworker circles. But powerful stuff. Now you sent me a. Let me go back to this here first. Okay, you sent me an email, and before I get into that email, which is going to be the bulk of what we talk about here, I want to just read, which is posted with the video. I am Mother with Wisdom, a 53-year-old grandmother of 6, mother of 2. I am Chickamauga, Cherokee, Creek, Black, and Mexican Indian. I come from and with a very rich and diverse matriarchal ancestral history, blessed with many spiritually gifted, strong women and their spiritual guides. I believe that we are our spiritual beings experiencing the human conditioning called life, which allows us the connection and the ability of being and becoming integrated with all of our beautiful human flaws and our divine spiritual gifts as divine children. I believe that we receive lessons, memories, messages, and connections that allow us to align our spiritual vibration back to its original frequency of an enlightened higher vibration status. I believe that it is most important for us to realize and know who we are at our fundamental divine core. I believe that societal programming and pressures have led us to be slaves and willing servants of our egos, which ultimately restricts our ability to reach or even realize our unlimited potential. I use the word I, E-Y-E, instead of the letter I because I believe it to be an all-inclusive word for my mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual insight and observations. I also use it in the manner of the ancients as the all-seeing eye. I'm getting chills. Not just as a singular witness integrating data from two physical eyes, but a collective gift and ability to see, witness, observe, and draw my own conclusions based upon my divine third eye. As a blessed divine vessel, I am able to see with sight beyond sight. That's a beautiful, beautiful introduction to this show. Thank you for that. Now you
Thank
sent
you.
me. You're very welcome. You sent me a note, and you said, "Hey, beloved brother, this is what Mama gave me for your show. I will share it on my page. You can share it in your description of the show so people can have these questions, have their questions and comments. Ready? Thank you for this platform. Thank you for coming." I'll go ahead and read this since you didn't have your printer. And then we'll stop and go,
Yes.
stop and go. This was my waking
Okay.
Saturday. This was my waking Saturday morning revelation download. The soul is the missing link in the equation of the evolution and revolution of life, because it is the actual bridge between the body, mind, and the spirit. The soul was shown to be the living essence. It is the knot of Isis, the belt, the link chain, the rope, the glue, the blood. It is what gives us the definition I've been absolutely certain about in this 7 years, but I am soul, not in the literal sense, but in just knowing that is what I am. For all that I know, it is not. I know that I am that. So thank you for these beautiful words. We'll continue with these, and we're taking questions from the audience for Mother with Wisdom. Let me ask you this while people get their comments together. Were you always this
Yes.
way since you were born? And you seem to have a really strong matriarchal lineage. How did that affect you? Who were the women in your life that guided you or told you who you were, or what happened?
Well, I have always been this way since I can remember. People used to come to the house to get their number. You know how people would play the street numbers.
Yeah.
I was just a little girl, and they would come and get the street numbers to play the lottery, street lottery, and they would give my family vegetables, meats, jewelry, whatever when they hit, and a lot of them times they did hit. My father kind of was skeptical. My father was 20 years older than my mother, so the idea that somebody was going to kidnap me and take me and this and that, so I had to stop doing these things and stop showing and telling what I was seeing or what was being said to me, care what I said and who I said it to. My mother was very encouraging. She was very proud of it. And she told me it came from her side of the family and so forth and so on. She often the veil. I'm born with a veil. She said that I was born fully covered in hair, that they had to wash me in a solution to actually get the hair off of my body. She thought she had marked me because she was in movies or something at the time. And
Wow.
I would have visitations from ancestors. They would speak to me, they would say things. A lot of times it would not be clear. I had to come into my own understanding of what they were saying to me. One of the things that comes to mind is when I turned 14, right before my menses, a very ancient ancestress came to me and she told me that I didn't know what a cine, she said. And so as I turned into my adulthood, I knew that I was empathic. And I believe that's what she called a sin eater, you know. And I think that there's various levels and degrees to it. But for me, it's being very empathic and being able to draw the pain and draw the suffering and alleviate, heartache from people just through my touch, just through presence, and just speaking to them about
Wow.
spirit and about life. Um, and as I grew older, I had started putting all of this into myself, and it was toxic, and I was gaining weight and different things happening with my body. And I came into contact with two healers who were able to help me understand, and that was about 20 years ago, help me understand my gift of being an empath, of the different clairvoyancy, clairaudient, the different modalities, and to understand that these things were not demonic because of the religion I was witness. I was told that you these things were demonic. When you hear these things, that this is demons, this, and you don't pay it attention, you don't meditate, you don't, get into searching for that kind of information. So it was very limiting, but these two ladies, they helped me a great deal. They taught me about the chakras. They taught me how to release. One of them facilitated sexual abuse and assault therapy. And I learned so much in that. And I was able to share so much that I was able to start my own group for women who were dealing with these issues. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that website, and that's the one I was referring to. It was very powerful. Do you still have that website?
I am redoing it. It is universalwomb.com.
Universalwomb.com.
And mhm. And what I was going to do, what I'm getting ready to do again, is about rebirthing oneself. That's my whole deal. Is you are not what happened to you. You are not what someone else did to you. You are not a sinner. You are not all of these negative things and attachment to. And in being in this state, there are degrees and layers that you have to remove. And I myself thought that I had removed so much. But about 3 years ago, my daughter moved to California. And me and my daughter, I had my daughter at 18. And make a long story short, my mother kicked me out of the house. I had to go stay in another city, in a home that was run by Catholic nuns. And it was, but when my daughter was 3 months old, I went back to stay with my mother. My mother turned a year old. She died 3 months after that. And it just got to be, where was I going with that? What was your question?
Well, you talked about your daughter. You thought that you were clear, and then 3 years ago, your daughter moved to California. Is that what you said?
Yes. I'm so nervous. I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. We're holding space. We support you here. This is what this platform is for. So you thought you were clear, and some things came back?
Yeah. I thought I had healed a lot of my old issues. I thought that I was strong and very stable, having dealt with so many of my different issues. And I moved out there with her because she wanted me to come help her, because her and her her husband had just moved out there. They had 3 kids at the time, and they were struggling because California is very expensive. And so I left my 2-bed apartment on the lake to go help her. And we just clashed. We clashed so much that we were almost became physical. And, in that moment, I realized, I'm not I'm not participating in this kind of dysfunction with my grandchildren. I had enough of this, so I'm not perpetuating this. And so I came back to Wisconsin. And in that time, I shed everything that had given me strength before, and I just became a shell of my former self. And it's just been, I would say, the middle of last year that I have gotten back to knowing who I am again, and back to, reclaiming my own spirituality and my spiritual sense. And what I had to do was I had to release the guilt of, in my mind, being a bad mother.
Yeah.
And in looking at it, that I brought everything, and this is what impacted her. And I didn't see any of the positive things that I brought to her, that I gifted her with. I didn't look at children grow up and they want to get away. They look at that you're doing to help them as being controlling. She wanted to go out and party. She wanted to go out and do that, and I was, no, done, and da 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 da. And so we kind of, it was her desire to just leave the home as soon as she could. And she did that as a nanny, and then she came back, and we had always been together. And then she left Wisconsin, and like I said, it just threw me for a loop. And in gathering my spirituality back to me, it took me to forgive myself.
Yes.
And it took me to understand the different layers. Once again, my spirituality is based upon my own consciousness. And my consciousness is what the ancestors have been reminding me is 3-dimensional. It is the subconscious, it is the conscious, and it is the unconscious. And it is from those 3 realities that we manifest what we experience in this life. You just went out, Todd. I can't see you.
I'm still here. Can you hear me? All right, let me go out and come back in.
Todd?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. It's from those 3 different realities that we kind of manifest our
Can you see
reality.
Me now?
And those realities, again, can take on very different dimensions based upon where you're manifesting from. If you're manifesting from the subconscious, there is no restrictions or anything. Everything is there. So all of your fears, all of your desires, all of your truths are in the subconscious. So there's no denying what is there. And in the unconscious, those are things that are deeper in the psyche, that are buried. And a lot of those what my ancestors have been telling me, those are things that we bring forward through the DNA and through our genetic makeup and genetic memories and life memories and all of this stuff. So sometimes we do things or we have different mannerisms that we don't understand, and that comes from the unconscious mind. Those things were imprinted
So
when we
can you
incarnated.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this is interesting. I want to just go back and reiterate what you're saying, or you add to it or subtract from what but what I'm getting is the subconscious has got it all, contains it all. And this is
Yes.
sounds almost like a more of a personal thing, personal fears, personal desires. And then of course the conscious is the conscious. And then the unconscious sounds to me like it is ancestral, it is collective. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and then the other thing, I had another question I was going to ask you. Oh, I thought it was really important what you said. So you basically, from the get-go, coming out of the womb, okay, you were connected to the multidimensional aspects, to the ancestors, to the knowledge, to the higher knowledge. You were unobstructed.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
you said, as you were telling your story, and I'd just like to see what your comments are on this. You said you had to bring it all into yourself. It sounded like you were
Yes.
helping a lot of people already at a young age, in one way or the other. But were you not applying those same skills, abilities, love, wisdom, courage, healing to yourself? Is that what you were saying?
That's correct. My mother was bipolar manic depressive. So there were times when she was the best mother in the world, and then there were times when she was the complete opposite of that. And so you never quite knew what you were going to get. And I understood that even from just because of some things that she told me that happened when she was carrying me. She danced, she was dancing, and she almost danced me out of the bag. She was dancing so hard. She had to go to the doctor, and they told her that the bag was coming down.
The birth canal?
Bag is the uterus, what's full, the waters and all of it, the placenta. There we go. Yeah. So I understood her, but I didn't understand what I was doing to help her and why I triggered her so much, because I triggered her and in ways that no one else did. You know, she was never this way towards anyone but me. So it was always different. And I took a lot into myself, and then I got to the point where I became no, no, no. And of course that didn't go down very good, but that's just who I she was not going to, break that down in me. I was not going to beg. I was not going to crawl. I was not going to play those play into the games that she wanted me to. So, but with everyone else, I've always been that person that you could come to talk to. Even as a child, I was the one that went around comforting. I was the one that would bring all the little tadpoles home, and the baby birds and the bees and and all of this kind of stuff. So I've always been connected, even when I didn't know what being connected was.
Your story sounds very familiar to many stories that we've heard here in 800 shows. Some people might call them Blu-ray, forerunners, first wavers, whatever. But there seems to be a pattern of they came to heal the family karma or the family traumas, generations, 4 generations back.
But I've been,
and then, yeah, and then
that's
also,
what I've been,
yeah, go ahead.
oh,
Go ahead.
that's what I've been receiving just the end of last year and early this year, that as we began to heal ourselves, it goes back. The time is irrelevant. And as we began to heal ourselves in this now moment, we are actually healing back then and we're healing forward. So the healing takes place in a circular loop, I guess
Yeah.
you could call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And healing is played forward in that the future is created in a different vibration. It's created from a more higher vibration than the lower vibration that we incarnate to.
Yeah.
So we're actually raising the vibration by doing the healing work.
Yeah. Some people would refer to that as we're collapsing timelines because we're, as you said in your introduction that you wrote, we're in essence going back to our original nature, or original blueprint even. Now, you seem to have a very strong connection organically, as I do, or did. You know, it's expanded some now, but very much with the earth, the ancestors of the earth, I guess is how I would put it, especially with your ethnicity. You know, did you receive any oral lessoning, oral knowledge or anything from the incarnated feminine in your life? Or was this all coming from the higher dimensions?
I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by women who were very grounded, who were very spiritual, and they had a mother wit. You know, that's where that name comes from. They had the mother wit. They weren't book learned women, but they had that common sense that is orally passed down, and as a child. So when they spoke and they get around and they shoot us away, find a spot so I could listen, because the things that the things that they were speaking of was much more interesting to me than what the children were doing, because they were speaking wisdom, and it had a certain energy to it that gave me chill. I can still remember some of the things, especially kind of the I remember those things because it was wisdom that rang in such truth that it just imprinted you with it. And it wasn't just the words, it was the energy and love and just the spirit of it.
Yeah. Let me ask you, in your communication with infinite intelligence, with source, with the ancestors, what if anything have you received in regard to that mother wit, the mother goddess, the frequency of the divine feminine? What role is it stepping into now? What's the importance of it? I mean, have you got anything direct in regard to that as far as you as a divine feminine or the collective divine feminine energies?
Yes, that began about 20 years ago when I began getting that message. The first message, well, the first feminine deity to approach me was Inanna. And it was through Inanna that I learned how to go within, to the underworld, so to speak, in myself, to the lower hell, where you have to actually confront the things that you did, that you said, that were done to you, and everything. And you had to remove those many different layers from yourself. And each layer that you removed, it left you bare. And you just had to keep going and going and going until you were completely empty. And once you were empty, then you had to do what I call the chrysalis transformation to get your wings, and then you flew up out of there. But what was being told to me is that in order to bring about balance, the patriarchy needed to understand what he had done, or what was being done to the divine feminine. And what I got to understand now is that that happened because the divine male didn't understand that he was divine. You know, he saw himself as not good enough. He saw his own sexual nature as something to either be ashamed of, or to be so out there with, that he didn't care about anybody else's feelings or thoughts, or it was the narcissist. So you have, that spectrum. And mama is about balance. And because of those things and the interactions with the relationships, there was no balance. There has been no balance, for the longest time. And that's out on the earth. It plays out in the children that we produce. It plays out on the plants. It plays out in the technology that we develop, and what the technology does to the earth and to our own bodies. So it takes the mama to come back to clean the house. It's just like when her and the father left, and they left the teenage kids at home, and the teenage kids threw a big ass party, and they come home to clean up now. And so mama's, what she does, she's going to take control, and she's going to clean up. But
mama's home.
Exactly. Home. And we're getting ready to see the changes. And this isn't something that the earth has not experienced. This is even something that is in our ancient memory conscious. We know that this has happened because we keep repeating it.
Yeah.
And I think we've gotten to a point in our development where we have evolved to a point where we know that we can't continue this way, that we have to raise our vibration. And a lot of the prophecies have come to a point now, the ancient prophecies, where they're at their ending. And they're at their ending because we have to, they're saying, dream a new dream, or make a new way of being, because outside of what we have known. And that is happening to us as we are beginning to look deeper and deeper into ourselves. And what I sent you with that, when mama gave it to me, it really blew my mind a lot, because so many understand what the soul is, versus what the spirit is, versus what the mind body is. And when she told me the dimensions, and that the soul is what bridges the spirit to the mind body, that kind of cleared up a lot of things for me, because of the way I was taught religiously. Spirit and soul were interchangeable.
Yeah. And you just got this. This is real-time intel, right?
Yeah, that just came yesterday.
Let me. This is
That
actually where I had stopped. What you're actually getting into now. Let me go on with it, because it is very, very good
okay.
intel. This is how the soul is the bridge. The soul is born into the body mind, which serves as its exoskeleton. That which powers this soul inside the body mind is the spirit. The spirit. It is the battery, the current, the frequency, and the vibration that allows the incarnated soul to be. This was shown to me as the living basics of 1, 2, 3, ABC, being born out of cosmic zero / the universal womb. Okay, now that has been explained, let us move forward to the understanding how the soul is actually the knowledge of the missing link and its function. The soul is the connecting essence. It is the substance that the cosmic weaver uses to bind to stitch to attach the spirit to the body mind. It is the soul that becomes corrupted by the variables it encounters in life. Some of these variables are fixed and some are just manifested encounters, based upon perceptions and responses programmed by your soul's life experiences and genetic DNA predispositions, which goes back to your subconscious explanation and your unconscious explanation. What you're saying here, conscious, unconscious, and subconscious choices, direct and indirect cosmic spiritual influences. That is the narrative of each individual soul. We've established what an individual soul is. Let us look at the makeup of collective soul. The easiest way for me to do that is to point out the archetypes found within the movie The Matrix. I will start out by saying that each character represents a soul collective type. Neo is the newborn, pure, uncorrupted soul, anomaly, that will always be born, brought forth to cause a reboot to the original settings, which to me is what you're describing about the ending of these prophecies. It's almost like micro, macro, we are the Neo. So an organic upgrade takes place. We know this is evolution. Neo is a revolutionary glitch that is manifested from the corruption that has been taking place in the Matrix. That reminds me of the meme I love to share every now and then. I am the glitch in the Matrix. In its essence, Neo is right.
Todd, let me.
Yes.
What I want to just say that these glitches have appeared in our history. Buddha was a glitch. Horus was a glitch. Krishna was a glitch. You know, we have these individuals who are anomalies, who are glitches, who are who are able to, you know, connect with source in a way that is so deep that it's just there. It's more than a path, it's more than a calling, it's more than a destiny for them. It is what they incarnate to do. And with these beings, there is no way for them to be. And no matter to endure such suffering, because this and also they're going to know such within themselves the empathy and the love that they have. And this is the contrast that the soul needs in order to develop. This, just like you're painting, you need light and you need to highlight, to emphasize, to bring out. What we know as suffering is contrast to the joy. And we get to decide which do we are.
Yes.
The pleasure. And you're manifesting lessons that you need, that's going to allow you to find a fixing for yourself, a state of being, I should say.
I love what you say here toward the end. You say, remember, Mama does not take sides. All are hers.
Yeah.
But she demands balance. That is the ultimate rule and goal of every outcome, past, present, and future. How you solve that equation is up to your soul. Work it out. It is all up to you. That's like the mama bird pushing the baby bird out of the nest.
Exactly. Exactly. It's in you to fly. You have to trust yourself. It's not the branch, it's not the wings. You have to have the confidence within yourself to fly. And to, we look at it as as wings, the air, current, so forth and so on. But it all comes down to what we call heart. What we call heart. Because just like the eagle, certain animals are known for their heart, for their courage, for their ability to rise above, like the eagle rises above the storms. So we have to find that within ourselves. And one of the other things that Mama wanted me to share is that the animals came first. And through all these millennia, we have watched the animals to find out how we should act and what we should do. And now we have been here enough where we no longer need to watch the animals. We need to look within ourselves. And the answers are within ourselves because we are human beings. We are spirit and soul in this physical body. We are not the animals. We are not saying that we're better than them, but we are different from them. And it is time for us to understand that, yes, we have spent this millennia watching these animals, just like you brought the wolf into this. We have watched them. We have watched their ways. We even use martial arts the way they do. We hunt the way they do. We have learned how to protect ourselves in certain conditions the way they do. We know to watch them for omens and signs and everything. But what we have not done is to look within ourselves and look at the human species itself in the same manner that we watch these animals. And we are so animalistic because of the take that we have that, it's, and we have gotten to the point where we are past survival now. We have to get past that. And once we get past that, that will take us out of the capitalistic material aspect, and we will be more integrated into our spiritual and soul. And with this 29-3 year, the Trinity is so very important. That 3 is very important. In the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious, in the soul, the spirit, and the mind-body connection, the Trinity is very, very important and to have a big impact on us this year. And the more we can understand the dynamics of that, the more 369 came a lot to me. So it just has a lot of dynamics to it.
Yeah.
So we need to pay attention to that 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten that. And of course, Tesla talked about it. People talked about it. I've received it a lot, especially over the last few months. The power of the 3, actually longer than that. Morgan introduced me to it 3 years ago, but they all, like you said, there's different layers, different levels, different phases or stages of learning and awareness.
Yes.
But that seems to be a huge thing. And it's not just a singular thing, as you said, the spirit, soul, heart, mind, or unconscious, conscious, and conscious. It's also masculine, feminine, and the third energy that can produce, say, from a divine union, or 2 people that come together and produce.
Yes.
That's what I experience. Such as Soulogy. We've talked about this. We talked to somebody yesterday who actually has done something very similar to what we're trying to do. And they explained to us that that entity, which in our case is called Soulogy, is its own energy.
Mm-hmm.
In my friend's case that we talked to yesterday, the energy that she produced in the triad, she said it was God in one corner, her in another corner, and the offspring in the other corner. That child of that union spoke to her, led her, directed her, and that's the same thing that Morgan and I have began to experience the last few months with Soulogy. It actually has its own voice as we go into session or communion with it. So the power of the three, to me, it's like I was shown a couple of years ago, like going into the 0 point collectively, it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, it's 1 + 1 + 1, you know what I mean? But when you get to the 0 point, you come out, it becomes 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and it just starts to blow, exponentially. The growth is, so I love what you said about this being, I've heard this is the year of sovereignty, the year of expansion, the year of Trinity, that they all seem to be synonyms to me. How do you feel? What's it been like for you to be awake all your life, 53 years, and all your life experiences and all the connections you've had? How do you see what's going on, even in the last 4 or 5 years that I've known you, in the evolution and the revolution of what we're all doing collectively? Are you seeing are you seeing proof that what's that been like for you?
For me, my take on it is from the ancient fables and stories and the old ways of the Heros Gamos again. That is the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine producing that divine child. And as you said, it is the divine child that will lead. Divine child has the best of both the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And so it is, we say it's the child, but it is actually older than the ones that gave birth to it. Whoa. Because it has always been. We are birthing what has always been.
Wow.
And yes.
So
okay, I just got chills from saying.
Yeah, that was a powerful one. So the golden child, the divine child, the offspring of that masculine and feminine energy, is actually older than the co-creators.
Yes.
And that makes sense because it is born of pure love. It is totally untainted. And it is, that's what I see us doing. What I see us doing, all of us, is we've, like you said, we watch the animals, we've connected to the Akashic, we've had all these life experiences, and now we're going to combine that with what we came into the game with, into the realm with, and create a new good book. And to me, it sounds like that third energy is leading the way.
Yes, and that is, it's the balance between the sacred masculine recognizing itself and the sacred feminine recognizing herself. And the two of them now looking at each other and really looking into the eyes of each other, the souls, of each other, and understanding what the incarnation is all about. And it is about union and unity. It's not about separation. It's not about division. It's not about the imbalance of one being superior and the other one being inferior. It's about being equal, not it being. The first story that we get is of Adam and Eve. And that's a very biased tradition to feed our, psyche, because it instills, it instills you with an imbalance, because you immediately have to say that the woman is less than because the man is her head. And that isn't the way of the mama. The mama doesn't see one as being superior and the other as being inferior, and that's not the way that is.
It's all hers.
We are, yeah, exactly. We're both hers, you know, and we both have her qualities. And she designed us in a manner that causes us to complement one another. You know, we all have the sacred masculine and feminine within us, and we have to find how to balance it and how to balance it with another in order for those divine golden children to be born, and to understand that there is a collective. Once you know yourself individually, you have a collective. We are never alone, but we have to know ourselves first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that was quite a little roll there the last 10 minutes, Mother Wit Wisdom. That was good. I guess you got over your nerves, but that was beautiful. And that happens a lot to people when they come on. Takes them 30 minutes and that, but wow, that was the Mother Wit that I saw when I came off the street in your writings. And I look forward to doing it again with you and collaborating with you and supporting you in your endeavors, as we've talked about, as it all materializes, as the golden child leads the way.
Yes.
We've been told that when Soulogy first came to us, that Morgan and I were the caretakers, and we just needed to be with each other and feed the tree with our divine love, and that there would be many aunties and uncles coming. We weren't the only ones. It's just we were the ones that were there when it started or whatever, but that equally these souls would come and nurture the energy of this golden child with divine love, which I feel that this is alignment today. You know, it's a beautiful thing, and you're a beautiful, beautiful, divine feminine soul. Yeah, thank you so much for being a glitch in the matrix, and thank you so much for everything you've done for me and being part of my journey. I just want to say that publicly, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Todd, and thank everybody for. Thank you, and I would love to do this. I'm good.
Yeah, we'll do it again. You take care.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see Mother Wit